Hello, and welcome to my kitchen on this Monday evening as I'm getting ready to make a cake, or rather a cornbread. But this is definitely going to be a sweet cornbread, so that's why I'm calling it a cornbread cake. I know that it's blasphemy to include sugar in cornbread, in which case I'm going to be committing blasphemy this evening. But hey, I'm a Yankee. I live in New York, so what else do you expect? I am definitely not a Southerner, even though I enjoy cornbread. We're going to start off with 2 cups of cornmeal. Oh, and this is going to be a double-sized batch of cornbread as well, largely because I'm using a very large cake pan. So we've got 2 cups of cornmeal coming in. And here is a little, I don't know if you could call it a trick or not, because it's pretty obvious. Namely that a lot of recipes for cornbread, to provide better consistency, suggest mixing in flour with your cornmeal. But rather than do that, I'm going to mix in 2 cups of masa harina corn flour. So instead of wheat flour, we'll be using corn flour with our cornmeal. Yeah, I guess you could say this might make our cornbread more genuine. Although this does have a different color to it, largely because this is what they call blue cornmeal, or blue masa harina, in this case, corn flour. So that's why it looks a little bit different. Again, it's 2 cups of cornmeal and 2 cups of masa harina. So in fact, if you use masa harina for making tortillas and all the usual things you use masa for, you might want to consider that too. It makes a very good ingredient for use in cornbread. Next, we have to throw in, because this is a double batch, 2 tablespoons of baking powder. Here's 1, and here comes 2. 1 cup of sugar. So here's where the blasphemy comes in. Oh no. Yes indeed, folks. Here, this northern Yankee is about to add sugar to his cornbread mix. Oh no. Yeah, watch everybody turn off my TikTok live now. Oh well. That's a half a cup, and that's a cup. So we've got 1 cup of sugar to go with all of this. 2 teaspoons of kosher salt. Anyway, cornbread is so easy to make that, yeah, I know, everybody just gets their Jiffy Mix from Wally World and the like, but I, for one, don't have a problem with making homemade cornbread, because I think it turns out better. And then from here, we will start adding the wet ingredients. 2 cups of buttermilk. And from here, I'm going to be adding 3 eggs. Yeah, these days, with the cost of eggs, of course, these are almost like gold. Yeah, look at this. It's a real egg, folks. Okay, there's 1. Here comes 2. Okay, so there is 3 eggs. This, we have 1 cup of melted butter. I melted it, then put it in the fridge for a few minutes so that it's not too hot. Don't want to cook these eggs yet. Actually, I should probably start mixing this part right now. Break these egg yolks. Because the last part now will be bringing it to the right consistency. I'm going to hold up for a moment because there is one other thing that we have to do as far as cornbread is concerned. Namely, I've got to add some oil to the pan and then heat up the oil in the oven. So that means now it's time to get out our pan. How about this for a cornbread pan? A cast iron cake pan, or as they call it, a cast iron Bundt pan. Alright, let me quickly add maybe about 3 tablespoons of oil, and especially because this pan is so big, I think I had better spread this around a little bit. All right, let's get this pan into the oven for the next few minutes while we finish the cornbread batter. For the record, the oven is heated up to 425 degrees Fahrenheit, which is actually pretty common for cornbread. Although I am going to be doing something a little different. Because I'm using such a big and deep cake dish, I want to be sure that the cornbread is baked on the inside without being burned on the outside. So as soon as this goes into the oven, I'm going to lower the temperature to 350 degrees. About half a cup of whole milk. Although this is actually giving a nice consistency so far, I'm starting to think I'm not going to need any more liquid. That means I only have one more ingredient to add to this. And that would be about 1/3 of a cup of honey. Yeah, this honey is so natural that it's partially congealed. There we go. It should still mix in nicely with this cornbread mix. I do believe we have a cornbread mix ready, or batter, or whatever you call it. Which means, get to play with the cast iron for part 2. This comes out of the oven, carefully. I really don't feel like spilling hot oil all over myself. And here is one trick to non-stick cornbread, as folks know. We put the extra oil into the batter. I'm using corn oil too for my cornbread. A lot of folks use bacon grease for their cornbread, or even lard, but when I use those ingredients with my cornbread, it tends to burn or blacken the outside of the cornbread. My cornbread has had a much more golden color when I've used corn oil. And we start pouring in the batter carefully. I don't want to burn myself. Ah, yes. If it doesn't sizzle, it's not cornbread. Let's just mix it all together. We get this hot pan into the oven. 1, 2, 3. And then, as promised, we lower the temperature of the oven now, and this is also going to cook a lot longer than your normal cornbread, in fact. 50. This is going to cook for 60 minutes rather than only about half an hour or so because of the lower temperature. But as I said, that's because we want to be sure that the inside is cooked or baked while the outside is not burned. And so there we go. We have ourselves a cornbread cake in the oven. And that means in 60 minutes, it will come out of the oven and we will see what it's like. Now we will check our cornbread cake using the cake tester. No difficulty at all. No siree bob. All right. That means we simply let this cool off for 20 minutes. This is the part that always worries me, no matter how many times I do it. Although, so far at least, it looks like this thing is pulling away from the sides nicely. Around the center. How successful it turns out to be this time. Alright, here goes nothing. Well, for better or for worse, let's see how the rest of it turned out. Ooh, haha! Actually, this part did not turn out bad at all. So lo and behold, our cornbread cake is a success. Haha! And as we all know, the best cornbread is always served with butter on top.